Hello and welcome to Oye Cinema Club. It's me, Steve, and today we're going to talk about the fascinating movie Polly. Yes, Polly, my pick. And I'm here with your lovely hosts, Jason Eccles, JP Saruno, and Michaela B, the reader of books. And I am Steve, and we're going to talk about Polly, a talking parrot that recounts his travels looking for his original owner to a Russian janitor who helps him to the end of his journey. This was directed by John Roberts, written by Laurie Craig, and starring Jenna Rollins, Tony Shalhoub, Sheesh Marine, a bunch of Jay Moore, and a bunch of other people. And this movie, I picked it. Well, we picked it as a cinema club. Is one of the options that I showed because I showed Polly and My Girl, two movies that were very significant during my childhood, and I wanted to discuss this movie alongside the cinema club. But before I get into my first, well, the reason I picked the movie again is because it reflects a big part of my childhood. It's one of my favorite movies of all time when I was a kid. And before I get into my first impressions, I want to hear what you guys have to say. So first impressions, I want to go with Michaela. Michaela, what were your first impressions of this movie?
Well, this was genuinely my first time watching this film, and I think it's a delightful 90s kids movie. I think it's definitely, I feel like every, everybody has a film like this that's, part of their childhood mythology. I think mine would probably be, what was that cartoon called? But it's, a very similar premise where there's, a talking animal, and it only, it has a best friend with a child, and it has to go on an adventure because the child and the thing gets separated.
We all narrows it down.
I know, that's the thing. But it's very interesting that this was a trend, and most of those films are written really, really well. This one's written really, really well, and it's really good at pulling at your heartstrings. And it's just it's whimsy, but it also gives you stakes. But it's not stakes that are so terrible that you never will overcome them in a way. There's something lovely about that.
Medium rare.
Yeah, and it's always it's not something that I will always reach for when it comes to a good feel-good movie, but it's nice to know that they're there. And that's my first impression.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Michaela. Jason,
that's pretty cool.
Your first impression.
Great first impression, Michaela. I had the same feeling, man. When this movie was presented, I had to watch it because it was the only one that I hadn't seen of the two. But I loved My Girl. It's interesting because I didn't really want to see this movie. I wasn't looking forward to it. But I have to say, it was utterly delightful. It's delightful. I would have loved to have seen this as a kid. This is probably comes out around the time where I'm phasing out of childhood. So I was kind of resisting all things childish. So this movie was, it was cute and it was fun. It was for the whole family. And I felt like the stakes were about as high as you could get for a movie starring a bird. I loved all the actors that surrounded the bird. They were great co-stars. Yeah, I'm going to say right off the top, I liked this movie, Polly, man. There wasn't really a dull scene. It kind of trekked right along. It's a pretty well-made movie. The voiceover acting was fantastic. So good stuff. The story kept evolving. It was like Homer's Odyssey, but for a bird. Pretty good stuff, though.
Thank you so much, Jason. JP, tell us your first impression.
My first impression. I love Jay Moore's performance as Joe Pesci in the form of a little green bird. That was my only real negative. I have a few, but Jay Moore needed to try that how to have. He should have differentiate. I can't fucking talk. Differentiate. Differentiate characters because we see him on screen as a different character, and he does Polly's voice. But there were times where it was like his on-screen character is like, you're going a little too Polly right now. It's like they're two different people. Like just should have picked one of them. Should have been straight up New York, Polly, and then Benny should have been Californian. It would have been easy peasy lemon squeezy. That would have been fine. But they were too close to each other where it got distracting at times. But no, this is a very clearly inoffensive movie. I remember seeing it when I was a kid, and there was a few scenes. I did talk about it the last time we met, where it's like, yeah, those scenes held up very, very well. All in all, I guess my only another critique is that the film, oddly enough, in my opinion, was too short. There was a few scenes where it seemed really quick to the action, which is great, and it simplifies the story, and you don't need to overcomplicate things. But there was a few cuts that seemed really awkward where I thought, wow, that was way too quick of a scene, like scenes with like only 2 lines of dialogue that are completely over and we're on to the next thing. So that's, I guess my only complaint is the film is too short. It's really sweet. It's cute. It's adorable. Like you can't really hate the movie, which is crazy because like it has like a 60 like on like the other sites like Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb is like who's the 40 that like just I'm like are you like what's wrong, dude? Like, do you want to talk about it? Like, did you see Mousetrap before watching this movie? Like, are you that mad about animals, dude? But that's my first impression.
Thank you so much, JP. Now, my first impression. Basically, this movie was a very incredible film. In my childhood, and now seeing it as an adult, I appreciate it even more because I can understand a lot of the concepts that were shown in the movie that I didn't necessarily grasp entirely as a kid because I didn't understand what was like about essentially what was it. And I'm gonna walk and talk as I tell you this because my mom is being very loud. Essentially, this movie made me realize that there's many elements that I didn't necessarily fully grasp as a kid. For example, the movie starts showing you an immigrant story. Like, it starts with Tony, essentially his character, coming to America and just saying like, I'm coming here for the big bucks. And throughout the entire movie, if you're really paying attention, it's showing you life lessons. And I think it's an extremely great film that, unfortunately, I feel films like this one these days don't necessarily come as often because now kids' movies typically have like mainly like one point they really want to get across. And this movie, I feel, had like several things that like you can learn. And even though, yeah, some scenes were quick, it was enough for you to like really get the concept of like, hey, sometimes if you have the wrong guide, then maybe you're learning habits that are not necessarily constructive and you have to pay your karma for that. Sometimes when you really want something in life, you have to speak up to actually obtain it or see what happens. Because if you stay quiet, you're not going to get it or you're going to regret it. There were many things about the movie that now as an adult, I'm like, no wonder I love this movie so much. It wasn't necessarily about the talking parrot, because to talk about what JP's point was in his first impression, essentially, I also agree that I kind of now see it as an adult, because I think as a kid, I actually saw it in Spanish, if I'm not mistaken. So seeing it as an adult and seeing it in English, I actually did not like Paulie's voice that much. I wasn't the biggest fan. But the lessons throughout the movie and like the scenarios and the characters, like all the supporting roles to me were outstanding, and all the points they were driving were actually really incredible. But yeah, that's where my first impression is. Like, I don't know, maybe my third or fourth time watching this movie, but my first time actually watching as an adult. I think last time I watched this movie was like, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago or something like that. So a long time ago. So let's move on from first impressions and let's talk about the supporting cast, because this is a movie that, yeah, the main character is a parrot on his quest to find Marie. But there's a lot of supporting cast here in order for him to get to that journey. And to me, all of them did an extraordinary job. Even Jay Moore, I was like, oh my God, Jay Moore is acting. Wow. So, what do you guys think about the supporting cast?
I'll admit the ensemble in this one much more. It's great that even like the kind of sleazier people in the movie are likable, because you see like similar hero journey based stories like Forrest Gump or like Benjamin Button, stuff like that, where it's like very Oscar baity and whatnot, where there's a lot of people like, man, we are wasting time right now with like, well, what are you supposed to learn from this asshole? Where this film, it doesn't have those moments. But again, like, it was too quick. But no, I really like the ensemble in this movie. I'm somewhat biased here. I wish there was more Chief Marin and also his little parrots. I remember as a kid really liking that. I kind of forgot about Polly and the Lupe characters. Like, I want more. I want to see more of Lupe. It's like, because like the movie kind of loses that. Oh, she's smart just like him, but she just speaks Spanish. It's like, I wanted to see more of that, but we didn't get those scenes. And the movie, I guess, at the end didn't really need them. But no, I really like the ensemble cast, and of course Tony as ambiguous immigrant. I'm just being silly. He was really great. He it's weird how, when you give someone material like, oh, I want you to act in this film, some people would act a certain way kind of based on the genre. When they decide to give it 100%, kind of like when you see the older Muppet movies and like the live action actors give it 100%, like, no, you don't have to go that hard. It's a Muppets movie. It's like, no, fucker. We're gonna
yeah.
I'm gonna give an Oscar worthy performance, that sort of thing. But no, ensemble, great cast.
Well, like, I think that the film wouldn't work if that wasn't the case, and like, honestly, if you like take apart each little story, and if you really wanted to make it into like each one like their own film, they would all work.
Yeah.
Like, that's like so crazy to me, like that this. But see, then again, like, I feel like this was like during the almost golden age of film writing, where we get like a lot of like really good movies that like from it's just very interesting to see. Yeah, no. Because each like little thing was special in its own little way. So it's just nice to be a part of it.
Jason.
Yeah, this thing is loaded. This thing has everybody in it. Like you said, Gina Rowlands, Tony Shalhoub, Cheech Marin, Jay Moore. Like, there's not a bad performance in it. Oh, and the little girl that used to be in the Pepsi commercial. She's so cute. I forgot all about her. I mean, I didn't forget about her, but like, she's so adorable. And I think this movie succeeds for adults because the acting in it is actually so good. They're not like playing it for children. They're playing it kind. You know what I mean? Like, it's PG, right? But it's all these people represent different types of people for like kids to watch out for too, because Paulie is kind of the kids, for the sake of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And all the adults, all the actors, all seem the directing seems aware of that, I should say, because they directed the actors to perform that way. But everybody seems on the same page in this movie, and I think that's a big part of why it works. Because they're all just having an interact. They're all communicating to each other through their interactions with Paulie, essentially. It's like there's not a lot of grown-ups going back and forth in this thing. You know what I mean? So Paulie talking to somebody the whole time almost. And somehow the movie's held together that way. And it's all cohesive. So yeah, great cast, really. I mean, I thought they nailed it. I didn't notice a thing about the voiceover for Paulie. I didn't even know that was Jay Moore doing it. I had no clue. I didn't like read the credits or anything before I watched it. I can kind of see what you're saying about this to New York when he's like or East Coast a couple times. Like I didn't peep it, but I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that's my take on the cast.
Yeah, to me, again, it's like a extremely amazing cast, and even though it is a kid movie, and they keep it pretty PG. They managed to get like bits there. The fact that they play Lowrider and introduce Cheech Marine, and even though he's like a taco truck dude, but he still's acting like a little high, like that was to me was a nice touch. That as a kid, I'm just like, oh, nice music. But as a grown up, it's like, oh, I know. I know.
It was genuine because because when you see kids, like you're hard pressed to find a G-rated movie nowadays,
right?
And like most children's films, like they either go all in, like, oh, this is strictly for the kids, or not to the fault of their own, where they're a little too cheeky, whereas like, oh, we gotta throw in some shit for the parents too, but it's kind of overload to the point it's like, well, just go for like the older audience if you're gonna do that. Like a lot, I'm not much of a Disney fan, but a lot of Disney movies do that, where they throw in a few cheeky grown-up adult jokes. And I don't want to be a prude and say like, ew, don't do that. But that's how it feels. Like, oh, like this seems so out of place and seems so like unwarranted and unnecessary. Like, are we really gonna have a dick joke in Frozen? Really? Like, okay, like just to get that PG so they don't come off as childish with the G. Where this one is like, I think it earns like it swears. And it's adult moments, like it earns it. It doesn't feel like ooh, he said a bad word or whatever. Mm-hmm. I think I'm getting old. That's what it is.
So I definitely want to dive deep into when Paulie is talking or telling the story of when he was growing up with Marie. And we see in that household that there's clearly a problem going on. And this is something that happens often, is a story that keeps on giving and repeating itself throughout the years. And that is when parents, are trying to essentially co-live with each other. And it's not like there was like domestic violence or anything like that, but it's just like, they were talking their kid to go to sleep and they're immediately fighting about something. And the kid notices, it's not like they're hiding and everything. And Mary's really trying to like speed up her vocabulary because she wants her parents genuinely to just stop fighting. Mm-hmm. And so about those real issues that are shown in the movie, those are things that, at least me as a kid, I wasn't necessarily paying attention to those moments. But now as a grown-up, I go like, I pay way more attention to that. And I go like, wow. Like at first I wanted to go like, man, that dad was a dick. But at the same time, it was justified. Like certain things that, at least like when Marie was like almost falling off a ledge, like, yeah, of course. At that moment, you go like, maybe this parent is a bad influence to you. And we really have to get rid of Paulie. Because at first I was like, why would you get rid of him? But I was like, your kid almost died. So
I do remember like when I was younger, that hit even harder. But like watching it now, it's like it's awfully like, I don't want to say it's tame, but it's still real. like two parents, especially when they give the backstory. It's like, oh, the dad just came back from a deployment or something. Like he was gone for a while, and he happens to work in like the military. So of course he's already gonna have a bit of an edge to him. He's gonna be a little bit impatient, but it never goes off the edge. It's like holy shit, like what an asshole. Like no, it's like you feel for the man. He's trying so hard to be a good father, and you know it's hilarious because the parent ends up being the better parent out of the two. But you know, it's like they didn't see it, and they don't know that the bird can talk. So yeah, like it's crazy. Like when I was younger, I was like, man, like they're so mean to Polly. He's like, no, that's they didn't know, and that's chill.
Yeah, no, that is like kind of a very rare depiction. It's just like I feel like we've always grown up with this idea that like once you're a certain age, you know what things are, and we take that at face value. But it's very rare when they show parents like being like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you have a better solution? Because that's not a better solution. You know, just trying to figure out what they're doing and how that, like, in that mess of just trying to be a human in a situation where you have to take care of another human, it gets messy.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that hurts everybody. Like, I feel like that's not always properly articulated with, like, the kind of generosity that is. So, yeah.
Jason, do you want to chime in?
No.
Okay. Let's talk about the journey that he went through. We saw Paulie gone through a lot of different situations, and they were all influenced by the people he was spending his time with. And this is something that happens in life. Mm-hmm. That if you surround yourself with good people, good things happen. If you surround yourself with bad people, bad things can happen. So what do you guys thought about the journey, and what was your favorite journey from the movie?
Sure. So my favorite, I love the journey. Like I said, it was reminiscent of Homer's Odyssey. It might even been Homer's Odyssey, honestly. Like, I noticed a few things, but it's probably is to some degree or another. It's a great story of a bird finding his way home, and he meets all these great little characters along the way. A lot of them actually had a big impact on me. And I know what you mean. I know what you're saying. I wonder if it's purposeful, like was that the intention when you say he became a little bit of all the people that he surrounded himself with. Maybe there is something to that. There's definitely a moment with the Jay Moore character where he tells Paulie to do the wrong thing, and Paulie kind of knows it's the wrong thing, and he does it anyways. Peer pressure. Because, you know, he wants this Jay Moore character to succeed so that he can succeed. So he breaks bad for a minute in the movie, you know? And, you know, that's probably one of the more, I guess, action-packed parts of the movie, because that's pretty fast and it's kind of goofy. I don't know. It's hard. I also like the people that comforted him and took him in, like the old lady with the RV, and I really like the story between him and Cheech, where he falls in love with the other bird. You know what I mean? Maria, or whatever her name was, and you know that bird sounded sexy, man. I don't know whose voice that was. I was like, man, that bird's got a sexy voice. Yeah, they were also great. It's really hard to choose, if I'm being perfectly honest. There's some really nice lessons and moments in all of them.
Mm-hmm.
I think the quote of the night is, "That bird had a sexy voice."
Golden feathers, hell yeah.
Well, I mean, they did always say he liked mangoes.
Oh, what color was she? Red and yellow. I don't know what I'm doing. Dude, like again, like I thought the moments were too quick, but like each moment was really nice. Like I think my favorite would have to be like both like the little in betweens with him and Tony's character. Like they were nice little breaks that segued into the other chapters into the film. Those were nice. But I think like my favorite part of the journey is with him with Ivy, which was the older lady, because like she was kind of the person that helped him like to fly. That was his big thing to get over, was like he doesn't know how to fly because he's afraid of heights, and whatnot, and he's gotten too comfortable. And so when he finds comfort and kind of, I don't want to say complacency, but like comfort and like a home with the old woman, and decides to stay with her because, empathizes with her and whatnot. And she helped him when no one else would, and for that to disappear instead of going into like a slump or like a down, it's like, okay, well, now I have to do this next thing. If not for me, then for her, which is so nice because he wakes up at the Grand Canyon, which was the place that she wanted to go, like to give a reason to go to LA. But it's like when we're gonna go to LA, we have to stop here in Arizona first, real quick. Hopefully they didn't have to deal with the assholes in Lake Havasu. That's my what's the word?
Yeah, no, like it was just like very interesting that they actually did go as far as they did with that character. Yeah. Like they actually have her pass away. That's what that was.
Yeah.
But like they do it in a way that doesn't feel like overly dramatic. Like it doesn't stop the bird in his tracks. Like it encourages, which like I feel like writers nowadays would be like, no, this is like a big, dark, tortured moment that we're gonna make it as like a wall.
Yeah.
So it's just like it's interesting how we color those things now.
Mm-hmm.
I would say for me, my favorite, now thinking about it, is I've been like flip-flopping in my head. But I think honestly, my favorite will be with Misha, Tony Shalhoub's character, because in the beginning we see him that he's there, he has the immigrant story, he wants that American dream. He's there to like make the big bucks and kind of, become somebody because he felt, that that's what he needed to do. That's what you do when you move to America. And he started, at the bottom job one of the most bottom jobs you can get, which is like being a janitor for like some weird scientific place with birds and different animals locked in. And essentially, he kind of just like gets really into this bird story. At first, he's fascinated that this bird can talk, like a lot of people were, and essentially he just drops not necessarily everything. It's not like he just quit his job or something, but I mean, he kind of in a way just like what
he did quit his job for the bird.
Oh yeah, then yeah, I guess he did.
No, not fired. Quit.
A whole moment.
Yeah, so basically he did that. and essentially just went like, I'm just gonna help you finish this journey, man, because this story is like my everything now. Like I don't care about this job. I don't care about nothing else but you finishing your arc in your journey and finding this person. And the fact that, spoiler alert, the fact that he actually got it done and accomplished makes that arc or that part of the journey, at least for me, my favorite, because yeah, it's like a beautiful, beautiful moment that we got at the end. But I don't want to jump there too quick, not yet. I want to open the floor for anybody that wants to talk or chime in about anything in particular they want to talk about or anything like that.
I would like to say that in regards to the ending of the film, I believe that that wasn't the ending that I saw coming. It kind of caught me off guard. I was like, oh. And then I got a little sad because I'm like, well, how is Paulie supposed to know that? Like, he's never going to believe it. Like, and then it hit me in the moment, like, they're going to have to, like, have some memory, remember when thing that only the two of them would know it happened. So the storytelling was, like, right there. Just, it's really good at keeping, like, one step ahead of the audience. Even though I've seen all these conventions and stuff in movies before, but it's so well placed. And it's good. Like I said, it's a good family movie because there's a grown adult man with like kids or anybody to like have to sit through this thing with. I enjoyed it. I wasn't like all in watching the thing like wow taking notes, but yeah.
Man, I wish I had that experience watching it this time around. Because I definitely did the first time when I was a kid. But literally, before, like 5 minutes before that scene ever happened, Carol was like, she's like 30, right? Is that the twist? It's like, shut the fuck up! Let the movie happen!
I was waiting to see what kind of flower she had in her hair.
That was a cute ass line.
Well,
he played wingman for that fucking guy that he just met.
Yes, he did.
But he did a lot for him.
Yeah, it's karma.
Yeah, we'll talk more about the ending later. But like, I guess one of the things that like caught me off guard this time watching it is like how much shitting they have on like immigrants in this movie. Where it's like it's not too overt, where it's like where it's racist, but it's like damn, like when Jay Moore's character as Benny, his on-screen character, when he calls the cops on those guys, and he's trying to tell them like, oh, he's probably halfway to Guatemala. I was like, what an asshole! Like, what the fuck? Like, what a fucking asshole! But that's within his character and whatever.
Yeah,
you know what's interesting? If we go back and watch this movie and look at all the stories to see what kind of cars and clothes and stuff people are wearing in each scene, to see if it's matching up with like different eras and decades. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because the movie should, theoretically do that if, this bird is 30 years old.
Yeah, I'm betting like the bird's at least like 15. I want to say 15 because
they do live that long. They live to at least 20. You can Google it.
That's still a huge chunk of life for a
But
bird.
that was her daughter, right? Or was that her little sister?
No, that was her neighbor.
Yeah,
that was her neighbor.
That was her neighbor. Like she couldn't have a kid, or how would she get with Misha?
Well, she could still get with the.
No,
I think they said that she was the neighbor's kid just so they didn't make her older, like because she did look young enough to be like, okay, so.
But she had a book published.
Yeah, well, people in their 20s get book publishers, but probably a couple of because people are more successful than me.
Hey, to be fair, Misha looked like he was 40, so.
And that was a big thing at the time, was just being like, oh yeah, you need to look 16 until you're like 45. Or else you're not a good woman.
Yeah. I'm thinking about it now. I wish that because I knew the twist was coming, so I wish I paid more attention to see like if there was any like real time skips and like kind of determine like, well, how much time did he spend with each character? Because like the scenes are awfully quick, but it must have been years. In my mind, I can't believe that the bird was at the fucking basement for like a decade. Like I refuse to believe he was down there for that long.
At least 5 years.
I feel like at least 5 years. So I guess each character probably spent time at least 5 years, which is still like a lot.
Well, that's like it's supposed to be his entire life. That's what this is supposed to be.
Yeah.
Like that's what makes it beautiful and why he has so many life lessons. Yeah. He's an old man.
And it's insane that the one that he cares for the most was technically the one he spent the least amount of time with. Because we know that she was still 5 when they fucking kicked him out the door.
But he was a hatchling when he met her.
Yeah.
He probably imprinted.
It was adorable.
So let's talk real quick about when Paulie went bad. He went rogue. He met Jay Moore with a mustache, and that's when he effed up, you know. And essentially, I mean, if you think about it again, looking at this with the eyes of a grown up, Jay Moore quite possibly, didn't even want to do too many bad things. I mean, he was already doing bad things, but he was with a very high maintenance person that was like, I gotta be in a mansion with pearls around my neck or whatever, and that's what made him go like, you know what? Possibly I gotta step up my game and stop robbing $20 from people.
I thought the female character, it's an awful, terrible trope and stereotype to have for any character, but we know those people exist, which pisses me off.
Well, he was a terrible guy no matter what, and so he was around a terrible woman, and you know, she motivated him to be even more terrible. That's all.
Yeah. And it's crazy because he didn't even have the idea to do that was all on the bird.
Well, that's like what his character is, though. It's like he's like, we all know that one guy who always has like a quick, rich scheme going on.
Yeah.
You know, like, and it's usually like the weirdest things. Like I know a guy who like had like a whole thing for pan flutes for like 2 years. Like, he genuinely thought that he was gonna learn how to pan flute so hard, man, and then he's gonna record all the birds. That was gonna be his life saving.
I thought that's where the movie was gonna turn, where like he would have been like the evil version of Cheech Marin, kind of like how Pinocchio ends up on the circus, or a P.T. Barnum moment. That's what I thought that was gonna happen. Like, no, he was basically stealing credit cards and withdrawing like 20s and 100s, like very, very low ball for like a criminal.
I also think it's really interesting how affectionate he is towards Paulie. Like, they have a genuine friendship.
Yeah.
You know, like, Paulie changes him as much as he tries to bring Paulie down.
Yeah. And he tried to save Paulie, poor guy.
He did. He genuinely did. Like that moment before the heist where he's just like, "Come on, man, this is gonna be great."
And that was all Paulie's idea. I just want to say that one more time. That was in other movies, it's usually like the bad person.
If this was a DC storyline, Paulie would be the big baddie. I'm not wrong about this.
I thought the same thing when I was watching the movie. I was like, I could totally see Paulie just being like a super boss and everybody just listening to him doing his bidding. Like the ventriloquist or something.
Cheapo Monopoly paper. I want to get some rocks. I want to get some ice. I'm Paulie.
Yeah, just totally being one of Batman's baddest foes, you know?
Like, literally, like, it would not surprise me to see Adam West swinging in and being like, Paulie!
And then, you know, when Paulie has that, since we're already in this bit, I'm going to commit to it. Like, right at that ending beat where Paulie is taken down by the Dark Knight, like, the last thing, he looks up to the sky, and then he hears the song in his head. Like, Marie, I'm so sorry, Marie. I'll be with you soon, Marie.
For sure.
Because if this was edgy
100%.
Batman, if this was like kids show Batman.
Oh, kids show Batman?
Like, he'd be like, that's Marie. Like, nowadays, look how happy she is. And she'd be so much happier if you were for the forces of good.
Or like, or he has the address. It's like, go find Marie at this address and tell her I'm sorry.
But he's saying that there's some birds outside the window at Arkham Asylum.
There we go.
That's the movie. Warner Brothers is gonna steal that idea. Matt Reeves is gonna watch this and gonna have a heart on.
A Batman Paulie sort of what do you call that? Mashup.
You heard it here first, folks.
Oh wait, I think Warner Brothers owns this movie, so
See,
oh my god, that's less work for them.
Oh no, we just made a summer blockbuster, guys.
I did like that at least the high scene. I mean, the credit card scene is pretty bad, but like that height scene was made very kid friendly.
It was. Oh my gosh. Like, I feel like one of the things was the felony, and it's not what you think.
Right.
Like, I find it so funny that they were like literally stealing credit cards and cash from these ATM machines, and there wasn't like an FBI sting for that.
Yeah.
But like the thing that gets them caught is some kid's necklace. That
is the trinket.
Here's the thing: is you could have easily just explained that. Well, actually, the grandpa just literally puts him in a towel and sends him to the. So I guess appropriate consequences. But like it just feels so dramatic.
Well, the problem is he started seeing way too early.
Well, and he even started like talking to the grandpa too, like, "Hey, this is all a big misunderstanding. It's shiny. I'm a bird."
It's in my nature. I'm a bird. Forget about it.
That's how that went down.
Oh, dude,
that's not how that went down.
I'm not gonna lie though, I did feel a little bit of a heartstring when the guy tells me, like, he keeps on bringing up a person named Marie. It's like, oh no, no, Paulie. That was cute.
I did like that they made the scene a little Home Alone-ish.
Oh yeah.
Jay Moore falling.
Yeah, for sure.
And
the 90s.
The kid with the little bow and arrow plastic thing.
Yep, 1000%. That was right on par with the 90s, I suppose.
Like, that is contractually obligated after 94.
In a lesser movie, though, Jay Moore's hands would have been stuck on the windowsill. He would have screamed, pushed his head up. The girders would have fallen on him. The kid would have shot the stupid slingshot arrow and would hit like a buttload of things that would like do this Rube Goldberg machine effect where it's not the arrow itself, but everything that the arrow hits that breaks the window. And, you would think that Jay Moore had a concussion or like a fracture, but nah, he's okay.
Yep.
And then the girlfriend decides to one up and is like, well, of course it takes a woman to do a man's job. And then she goes up and she trips on some marbles.
No. Like, she just steals his car. That's all she has to do. Overthinking this.
Like, we only have 20 minutes left to screen. We can't make another movie.
I'm sorry, JP.
So now let's talk about the ending. The moment we all been waiting for. Paulie is finally finding Marie. Unless we want to talk about the scientist stuff. And Paulie just going, up yours. Up yours.
I'm not gonna lie, I did not remember that scene. So I remember when I was a kid, I remember the liar line because I was like, wow, that's like so hardcore. It's like straight up tell him to his face he's a fucking liar. But then the whole like up yours bit is like, oh fuck, that totally went over 3-year-old JP's head or whatever the shit how old I was. This was 98. I was at least 5, 7. I don't know. I'm not good at math, but that was great. I mentioned earlier where a lot of like kid movies today, like they put out little adult moments, which I feel like are uncalled for. But this poor little bird was always kind of like a grade A asshole from Jersey. And he spent a good amount of time at a pawn shop of all places. So of course he got that from there. But I thought that was definitely earned, calling him a jackass and literally like up yours, because it's so embarrassing. Like a parrot just said up yours, and like you're trying to convince your colleagues like, oh, this parrot can talk. It's like, yeah, we know that they can.
No, you don't understand.
That's another, yeah, okay. But yeah, let's talk about the ending.
Let's talk about the ending. Jason, since you said you weren't expecting it, tell us.
I was I just thought that the little girl was going to be at the house and they were going to like re-embrace and we are going to get the hugs and Mishkov or whatever his name was.
Wait. You thought she was going to be a little girl.
Yeah.
Like the same little girl we saw.
Right.
Okay.
I thought Polly was gone for like 6 or 7 months. 8 months, a year tops. Like I didn't even consider it because the stories just kind of kept happening in succession. I thought he was like, well, this is the order in which things happen. But yeah, it was probably like a year, maybe 10 months. I don't know. But that was not the case, man. Like I just thought she'd still be a kid. I had no inkling that she was going to be like, what was she? I don't even know how old was she supposed to be. Early 20s, 30s.
I'm guessing early, like late
16.
20s.
Really? You
I
think
would say mid to late 20s.
I my mind is just telling me like it has to be like at most mid 20s. I refuse to believe that she was in like close to her 30s.
She's like a professor of like parodology, whatever that specific
Did
thing
they
is.
say that?
Yeah, that's how they found her. Is because he was looking through the parrot book, which she wrote because she's an expert on birds.
She didn't write the book, did she?
Yes, she
I
did.
thought he just wrote the fucking info on the book, the little note sticky thing.
Yeah, because like that's where he found out that's where he likes mangoes and stuff. And
I didn't know that was.
yeah, she wrote the book. M.A.
I don't think she wrote that book.
She did.
We're gonna have to rewatch it. But I refuse to believe that she was close to being 30. I just refuse.
Well, however old she was basically, a grown up now. And yeah, I didn't expect that. And I was like, oh man, like that's crazy. They lost all that time together. I thought that was kind of sad. It's like he's been gone for that long. Like he doesn't have any relationship to time. And I was like, wait a minute, how old can birds get? Like, what's the lifespan on a parrot?
20 years.
20 years. So Paulie's like at the end of his life. I'm really glad they found each other, though. That made me pretty happy. I'm glad that she remembered it because it also seemed a little goofy. Like, oh man, come on, you can't forget this bird from when you were 5. But I guess the bird did help her to talk. And they had this great relationship or whatever. But like, yeah, I don't know. It just
she almost fell from her house. You think she's not gonna remember that?
Yeah.
Like, I also want to point out that we're not questioning the talking rules of this parrot, but how old the parrot is. Like, that's the thing we're getting caught up on. Just laying that out there.
I just accept that the parrot's special, you know? But if I can't accept that, then this whole movie's going to be a bust for me.
Hopefully the parrot has
like,
also
it's
human...
like so much like the ability that it can talk. It's just like, how does it work? Like, like do all animals like have this ability, or is it just like parrots? Like it wasn't really clarified.
It wasn't clarified, but there were moments when Marie was talking, right? The other girl parrot. At least she had a whole singing. She could sing her ass off.
No, I think she could talk.
100%.
Because like she only spoke in Spanish, but I was like, it was enough to be like, that's not mimicking. Like she's straight up talking. So maybe it's like maybe just an isolated incident. Because then again, like I guess the movie does kind of there's enough leeway to be like, well, Polly doesn't know any other parrots. It's probably his first time meeting other parrots. Was that moment with Cheech Marin and the other parrots. So it's like maybe he doesn't know how to talk parrot because he's never met any other parrot. And maybe it's one of those weird movies of like, oh, it's a secret rule. We can't let the humans know that we know more.
Well, like that's why I'm betting because like everyone seems like but like for as many grown-ups that are just like, what are you talking about? Parrots can't talk. There's a lot of grown-ups who are just like, oh, cool. That's great. This is now a situation in my life. And like they just took that like a champ.
Yeah. No, it showed people's true selves where a few of them were like, I will help this parrot, and the other one's like, how am I gonna make money off this parrot?
just thought that
I also enjoyed Misha literally at the end going like, "Oh my God, I witnessed this moment." He got a little cry, and then he's like, "All right, I'm leaving. Bye. See you later. Sayonara."
An awkward
And
Irish
then,
exit.
and then Paulie's like, "Come on, you can get it in, bro. Couple like."
like,
She's
he
telling
was
me,
just like
she's
his
telling
own
me to come
psychology
over.
against him.
I thought that was, I'm not gonna lie, that was a slick moment where like I was like, the movie kind of threw me off for a bit. It's like, wait, you're willing to play wingman to this man that you barely met, to the woman that you've been searching for like all these years. Is
They're
like,
gonna make a big happy family, and Misha's never gonna have to go back to that job because she already has a house because she's a bird professor thing. So they're already set, man. So like they're gonna make a happy family.
I was like, this bird thinking 2 steps way too ahead. Whoa, calm down.
That's how this is put it
Calm
out. It's called karma.
You even said it like there's flowers in her hair.
I know. That
It's
was the
like
part that was
you
just-
don't get to say that. You don't get to say that.
Were they actually flowers in her hair? Because I didn't see. That.
There were 2 little purple posies in the back of her head that you could barely see.
I was gonna say because I didn't.
I was
see
like, I was looking for them. I was like, I don't see flowers.
Yeah, no, she didn't have a big flower. She had just little tiny purple ones because I think the writer was just like, oh yes, we can do this.
Now, before we get into final thoughts, let's be a little creative and do what will be your alternative ending.
Damn.
I would be bold enough to try to show Paulie in his old age, like being content with like the family that he created.
Oh my god!
And
Like,
then everyone would cry.
but then you would have to do that in the beginning. Like you have to
Yeah,
introduce
exactly,
him
exactly.
as a poor old dying bird.
Not necessarily. Like you just show him like 2 years later, like looking a little bit grayer,
Mhm.
watching like the kid and helping the kid learn how to talk, who also has a stutter.
Oh, okay. Word.
You
The
know,
cycle repeats.
Exactly.
Okay. I get that. I get that.
Yeah, except like you know that Polly's not gonna like when he goes away, it's not gonna be because, but maybe he finds Lupe. I don't know. There's a lot of things that you could play with. That would be
Yeah,
fun.
that's a cutesy. I don't know. There's not much you could change about the ending. This is me for like this is hokey, and I know it's like it would not work if they did it. I kind of wanted to see some of the other characters that we saw before back. We obviously can't see Ivy because she's dead. But like Cheech Marin or Benny, like the last person we see right before the ending is the scientist. Kind of wanted a moment.
I got it.
What's up?
Got it. Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh god.
Sorry. So like you like they end on the little house, right?
Yeah.
Right. So like as he backs up, like we start seeing the community, and then there's the taco truck, and like as you like pan back, you see that they're all part of this little community, and like they're all gonna be connected anyways.
That's kind of cute.
Nailed it.
I would have. Maybe it's a little too sweet. That's how Disney would have ended that movie.
Yes, that's exactly how Disney would have.
where when it pans back, you see Chief Barrett's character is like making the tacos, and then he turns off the. Is that Paulie? Is it Paulie? Hey everyone, Paulie's back! And then it fades to black.
Yeah, no. All you have to see is a little mango parrot perching on the.
Okay. See, I see it. I see it on the storyboard.
Yeah.
And the producer says, nah.
You're ridiculous. I love you.
Jason, you got any alternative endings?
I do have an alternative ending. When Mishka, is that the Russian guy's name?
Yeah.
When he shows up at the house to end with Paulie, my alternate ending is that Maria is not there anymore, and that they really are gone. And there's just like he gives up hope, and they're sad, and they're like he's out of a job and he's an immigrant, and they like try to find refuge within each other. and they become friends and go on adventures and try to help each other in life and have a time, really. But then, you know, he starts using him to make money a little bit, and Misha kind of loses his way, and he loses his way from Paulie. But then Misha apologizes and comes back to Paulie like, "I'm sorry, I should have been a friend to you." And Paulie's like, "Dude, I'm sorry, I've moved on. I'm happy now."
Well, this sounds more like a sequel.
No, I was gonna say
like a series
Yeah,
for FX.
the second film, because then like what the ending is they get to the house and they find out that she's not there anymore, but they get a clue, and that's where like we'd end the first one, and then we'd go into the second one.
I was gonna say that's the 2.5 movie that the Academy wanted. Because like that's kind of how, oddly enough, that's kind of how I think Benjamin Button and like Forrest Gump also kind of end. Like the whole journey is only in the first 2 acts, but then they dedicate that whole third act to like, oh well, what happened after the journey, as opposed to this movie, like, oh, it's just like 2 scenes in the present day, you know?
Yeah.
Like, damn, that went hardcore.
Yeah, for sure.
I would say my alternative ending would be almost the exact same way it was ending, but then the part when she goes like, "Oh my God, Paulie, you can fly." He goes, "Really?" And then, you know, he flies away and gets hit by a plane.
There we go.
And in the funeral, you know, Misha and Maria or Mary bond, you know, and they become a couple, and they adopt the little Spanish bird that Cheech has to be Paulina.
Ooh.
He's dying over there.
He's just mad that he wasn't brave enough to say that first. That's what this is.
I hate it, but I love it. Because I would love to be in that audience when that bird dies.
But with that being said, with that little fun, let's go into final thoughts. Let's start how I started. Michaela, final thoughts.
I think it's a really charming flick. You know, it's very typical of what was going on at the time, especially for kids' movies. There's a lot of heart in it. It's a really great cast. You know, like if you're ever like having a rainy day and you don't want to like, you want an intelligent story that feels like a real story, but you don't want like huge stakes that like feel like the entire world's on your shoulder. I think this is a great pick. It's a really good feel-good movie.
Thank you for that, Michaela. Jason.
Same kind of final message, man. It's a great movie. It's for the whole family. It's not too long. You know, it's something that you can watch and enjoy. There's lessons in it. There's morals in it. It kind of hits on all the cylinders, and it's a really pretty well crafted film, man. It's a really well crafted movie, and it hits all the beats and gets there quickly. I would recommend it. I'm so surprised that it got past me and I never heard of it, or I never heard anybody mention it again, you know, but I'm glad I saw it. I would recommend it to anybody with a family, and I would recommend it to all the children of the earth.
Thank you for that, Jason. JP.
It's a very nice feel-good movie. It doesn't go too off the walls where it's like out there, but at the same time, like it's genuine enough in its subject matter and like how they deal with stuff in the film, whereas like you're not what's the word, you're not like you're not you're not babying children is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
Like it, like it's
patronizing.
yeah, it's not a kid's movie. I feel like it's more like a family movie, and it's definitely not as batshit crazy and insane like Forrest Gump. I love that movie, but you would never watch that with the whole family. And it's definitely not as depressing and existential like Bicentennial Man. Remember that movie? You remember the trailers, how they made it seem like a funny Robin Williams robot movie? And then you saw it, and you're like, Chris, what the fuck did you do? Because it was Christopher Columbus, he directed that movie. You know, the same guy that made Home Alone and Harry Potter. And he released that movie. And it's like, what the fuck, man? Like, what did we do? If I wanted to watch AI, I would have gone to watch AI. I wanted to see Robin Williams do a funny robot movie.
Well, you did end up getting that.
But I ended up getting that movie with a bird. So, yeah, I definitely would recommend this to anybody. If anyone picks Bicentennial Man, I swear to Christ.
Well, now that you say that. Anyways.
Thank you for that, JP. My final thought would be that, yeah, it's a great movie, man. Like, it surprisingly holds up, even though it's been, what, close, like just a few years away from being 30 years since this movie was released. And yeah, the only thing I wasn't a big fan, again, was a Paulie's voice, but then again, is justified throughout the movie. And that's what I did enjoy about the movie, that it not only has a really nice journey, but it has incredible justifications, and there's a lot of lessons throughout the movie that you can pick up and learn. Maybe your kids wouldn't learn absolutely everything, because believe me, when I was a kid, I was just entertained by the parrot and the dancing and the Low Rider song and things like that. But now as a grown-up, I appreciate this movie way more, and I can see why I was even fascinated about this movie, and that I learned some really nice values about this movie. So I would definitely recommend it to anybody that has children or anybody that just likes feel-good movies, because it's definitely one of those. So that concludes our review of Paulie. And typically, Jason has a question for me, but this time I'm actually have a question for Jason, and that is, Jason, what do you have for us next week?
Oh, me?
Yes, you.
Well, Steve, I'm so glad that you asked, and I'm glad that it's my turn again. So as you all know, I only pick films that I haven't seen before, so I don't really know what we're getting into. Don't blame me, folks.
Give us at least a little description if you have it. But
if it's Bicentennial Man, I quit.
Well, one of the movies is sort of a cult main art type of movie that you would see at midnight at some theater in your hometown. It's called Blue Velvet. It's about as much as I know about that flick. I think Dennis Hopper may be in it. I don't know. I don't know if any. So that's choice number one for this evening. Choice number two, I don't remember what it is anymore, Steve. You have to remind me. Oh, yes, Tampopo. What I know of Tampopo, it is a Criterion classic. It's a Criterion Collection film. And I saw this video on YouTube of them getting new boxes for parts of their collection. And they hired all these cool artists with their own studios to design the boxes. This is the old box of Tampopo. But they hired this really cool artist, and she designed the new Tampopo box for the new collection for Criterion. So these are our selections. That's number two. So now we must decide, do we want to see Blue Velvet or Tampopo?
Gotcha.
Which I believe is, don't quote me, maybe there's about a family that owns a ramen house or something like that.
How spicy do I want this week to be?
Okay, well,
all right.
There's gonna be one.
You guys ready to go? I don't know what I'm going to do. You guys ready? Oh no, I don't get to vote.
Yeah, you don't get to vote.
All right, so on 1, 3, 2, 1. 2, and Steve has 2. We're going Tampopoing, folks.
Exciting.
Oh boy.
I don't know what I'm getting myself into, but I like that poster better.
Well, It says zingy and bizarre on that cover. So
Zingy? Oh.
zingy.
It had me at the noodles that the cast were drowning in.
I don't know. I just think that one, I don't know. It looks like someone's dying or something. I don't know.
It's really good.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen Tampopo.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No, nothing's wrong with that. It's
Wait,
great.
you seen it? You seen Blue Velvet?
Yes, it's really
Oh, okay.
good.
Okay.
I like.
And from Michaela, JP, Jason Echoes, and me, Steve. That's TV. We'll catch you next week. Bye bye.